Welcome to another roll call briefing from the J. Harris Academy of Police Training, and this one covers the Law Enforcement Officer Protection Act. This one took place just effective March of 2026. This is a supplement to Title 52. The law generally requires law enforcement officers to keep their face visible during public interactions while performing official duties, unless specific exceptions apply. The law also generally requires officers to provide sufficient identification before detaining and or arresting someone in the field. This act, let's not call it anything different, this act is actually looking towards what ICE agents are doing out in the street. In general, this really doesn't impact the day-to-day operations of what every New Jersey law enforcement officer has been doing throughout their career. So let's take a look at this. During routine public-facing enforcement activities, officers should expect to operate in a way that makes them identifiable to the public. In most uniform assignments, that requirement usually already is being met. The officer is wearing a department-issued uniform. In other settings, identification may be satisfied by showing the department-issued photo ID. It could be by displaying a department-issued badge. It could simply be by clearly stating they are an officer with their name and the agency they represent. The face covering portion of the law means that officers generally should not wear a mask or disguise themselves while interacting with the public in the performance of official duties. Now, that being said, the law includes clear exceptions. Those exceptions include undercover assignments, tactical operations, retaliation threats tied to official duties, face shields that do not conceal the face, medical grade masks, N95 respirators, protection from smoke during an emergency, protection during cold weather emergencies, the protection from biological or chemical exposure. If you are wearing the mask in those specific areas, you're okay. If your people are operating in a stealth environment, the statute expressly places significance on a supervisor making the determination for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. Supervisors should be prepared to articulate why a stealth mask was necessary and why identification exceptions applied, or for some kind of safety concern, limiting an identification in an incident that they're operating in. Operationally, you should remind all personnel in this law about transparency in the normal public interaction. So in short, what does this law actually mean? Officers generally are required to keep their face visible during public interactions and provide sufficient identification before detaining or arresting someone. Again, unless those statutory applications apply. The uniform presence, department ID, badge identifiers, any clear verbal identification, that all satisfies this requirement. If you're operating in a plainclothes environment, under stealth conditions, under a safety threat, or in a tactical or undercover role, make sure your actions fall in line with the listed exceptions and notify a supervisor, because that's what's going to be appropriate under this area. Now, in the future, we could expect additional Attorney General guidelines guidance to be expected for this, but for now, follow the law. It really doesn't change anything for what we've been doing in law enforcement in New Jersey for a long time.